everyone, welcome to another episode of Healthcare's Missing Link, weekly podcast where we help you uncover the hidden things that are disrupting your health. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Sherwood. Tonight, I'm super excited. We're going to talk about how to make ourselves feel and look younger using peptides. And to do that, we've got an awesome, amazing guest who I get the privilege of calling a friend, Dr. Edwin Lee. Going to read his bio because it's lengthy, and there's a lot of stuff in here. He's an athlete that's like amazing, and I can't wait to tell you about that. So I'm going to let that hang to the end of the bio. But he's got a purpose in life, and I think this purpose hits very well home with what we're talking about. He opened up the hormone for the Institute for Hormone Balance in 2008 with a mission to focus on the prevention of diseases rather than just treating the impact of diseases. He's board certified in internal medicine, endocrinology, diabetes, and metabolism, and the guy is brilliant. At the Institute for Hormone Balance, they have a holistic approach for integrating the best of conventional and alternative medicine, thereby improving the mind, the body, and the soul so the body can heal naturally. He's a best-selling author and a 2000 recipient of the Living Now Book Award. His books include Feel Good, Look Younger, Your Best Investment, Your Amazing Heart, Your Awesome Brain. Don't you love these descriptors? Awesome, amazing, incredible. And also The Fountain of Youth with Peptides. He has a new book coming out soon. It's called Your Incredible Liver. I've enjoyed getting to know him. He enjoys time with his patients, his family. He is a mountain climber. He's summited Mount Fuji, Mount Washington, a mount that I can't pronounce in South Korea. Loves to snowboard, swim, and he was on the master swim team. He likes to hike, and he's an all-around very, very, very nice man. And so, again, I'm super honored to have him on this podcast. We're going to be blessed because tonight he's got a wonderful presentation about how to make us feel and look younger using peptides. Dr. Lee, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart for being with us this episode.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark and Michelle, for inviting me.
Well, I tell you, we got a lot to talk about tonight, so it's going to be awesome. You are the first person that I heard speak about peptides, and this has been a year or two ago, and we were intrigued. We were blown away. So how long have you been, using peptides, and kind of tell people what peptides are?
Yeah, so I'll talk about what are peptides in the talk, and but I got introduced by some other speakers that I've learned, and I started going down the journey of reading and researching and trying to figure out more about how can peptides help my patients. And it's amazing the regenerative properties of peptides. Unfortunately, the FDA is taking away a lot of these peptides, but some of these peptides we can still get. But anyway, there's an organization called SavePeptides.org. And anyway, it's an organization that I'm forming and also trying to get a 503. Anyway, it's a non-for-profit organization that's tax exempt, and we can hopefully raise money to basically fight against the FDA to save our peptides. But anyway, I've been doing peptides for probably 5 years now, and but there are people who've been doing peptides much longer, and there's a lot of research that's been out there. But today I want to talk about basically cosmeceutical peptides to help you look younger. And I think a lot of people are very interested in this subject. And every time I talk about this, I remember giving a talk in Puerto Rico. And this is like the end of the day. Everyone's like brain is like on fire. It's like clear liquid is coming from people's nose and out their ear, and they're just brain dead. But when I talked about cosmeceutical peptides, all these doctors basically got that extra strength, started taking every single note because they wanted to look pretty, and they help their patients to look young too. So anyway, I'm excited to talk about that.
Well, our physical bodies is our business card, as I like to say. It's the physical temple, and we need to present it well. So, Dr. Lee, take it away. I cannot wait to see what we're going to learn.
Sure. So let's see. Share. Okay. Share screen. So I'm going to click on that, and let me go this. And all right. So let me do the. All right. I'm kind of newbie at Zoom, so all right.
You got it. That's perfect right there. Everybody can see that.
All right. So let me just start off with this disclosure. Really nothing to disclose except that I'm a co-founder of Clinical Peptide Society. And let me just let's see. Good. The next. Whoops. Okay. Next. Well, this is a disclaimer. So this webinar is provided as a general guideline and for informational purpose only. The information is not intended to replace medical advice by other physicians. Readers and viewers are encouraged to confirm the information provided with other sources. Dr. Edwin Lee will not be liable for any direct or indirect damages from information provided. All right. So let me start off with this slide, and this is kind of my journey on how I got interested in aging. So during high school, I got rejected a million times from asking any all the high school women to go out with me, and so I kind of learned how to accept rejection. But I remember there was these attractive women that I really wanted to take them to the prom. And they said, no way. And then 10 years later, I went to the high school prom, and I was just totally blown away by this beautiful woman. Her name was Carol. And I was thinking, what the heck happened to you? And honestly, she was tall, she was gorgeous, but she rapidly aged. And I finished medical school at that time, and I was doing my internal medicine residency. And during medical school and during my internship and residency in internal medicine, we were taught on disease process, nothing really about the aging process. But the more I've studied this, we should be considering aging as a disease. We always consider aging as inevitable, but aging is the mother of all diseases. And that is a key point. And if we address that, then we can address everything else. Unfortunately, there is no ICD-10 code if you're a physician to code for aging. Aging is inevitable. But now we understand a lot of reasons on why we age. And there are new therapy that's out here. But we're going to be talking about peptides to help you look younger. And maybe down the road, we'll talk about this later, but let me talk about some theories about the aging of the skin. We have intrinsic and also extrinsic causes. So, the environmental toxins that are out there. And one of the worst things you can do for the skin is excessive sun exposure. And I'm from Florida. And anyway, it's one of those things that if you sunbathe a lot, that it's like parking your car in the hot sun, not in shade, or it's going to age rapidly. It just the heat will just basically destroy that car. So air pollution, smoking, poor nutrition, and then intrinsic factors basically are really free radicals, oxidative stress that will damage the DNA, and you have basic internal damage. So external and internal damage. And one thing that if you really want to have good skin is if you smoke, quit smoking. That's probably the best advice, and try not to worship the sun. So there are people who actually don't see the sun. So I get it, but in Florida, we get a lot of sunshine here. So this is a slide that basically talks about all the other causes of DNA damage, and it could be ultraviolet radiation, ionizing radiation, smoking, air pollution, you have inflammation, and then you basically have mitochondrial dysfunction, and you can have basically free radicals that can damage your DNA. Now, there's other causes like your liver not removing toxins well, and in one test that I do in my practice, if you come to my office and you want to see me, it's a package. Everyone sees me as a package. And part of the package blood test we do is I check for oxidative. What I do is I check for oxidative stress, but I look at if your DNA is healthy. And that's the most important test. So there's a test called 8-hydroxy-D-guanosine test. And if you have DNA damage, you're not doing well. And I pick this up, and it's reversible if you follow the program. And the thing is that we will recheck it, and I see people that definitely improve. So just because you have DNA damage doesn't mean that you can't fix it. So the thing is, if you're younger.
Just a quick question for you on that, if I might, sure. Dr. Lee. You mentioned the 8-OH-DG test. Is that, I know the answer, but I think people might want to know from you, is that a blood test, urine test, what?
It's a urine test.
Okay.
So, no, anyway. And it's actually a very simple test. And I have a friend that is a PhD, and he basically works at the medical school. And we had a dinner party a long time ago, and he was inducing Alzheimer's in rats, and he says it's not easy to do. And then they look at the DNA damage and 8-hydroxy-D-guanosine. And I said, oh, I do that in my practice all day long. And he was blown away. He thought, oh, I thought it's only research. It's like, no, it's clinically available.
Okay.
Oh, my son's coming in for the garage.
It's okay. We're all good.
All right. So let me move on to the next slide here. So we can't reverse the aging process. We can slow the aging process, but there are new therapies that may even slow the process even faster. But the key is really, in my practice, I talk about the triangle of health, and it's balancing a hormone, working on your liver to help detoxify, optimize nutrition. And this is important. Stress reduction is really key. Exercise is also key, but it's really important to also exercise your lungs. There is a really cool book that I just finished reading. I think everyone should read this. It's easy reading. It's called Breath by James Nelson. It's New York Times bestseller. And anyway, he talks about how we're breathing wrong as a society. We're a species that we can breathe through our mouth or through our nose, but we should be nasal breathers, and most people are mouth breathers. So there are two exercises I'm going to give right now that I tell my patients that, because they have low energy, they struggle with weight loss, is to basically breathe. You have to basically increase lung capacity, and you have to reduce your mouth breathing. Now, occasionally you breathe through your mouth, that's okay, but at nighttime you can get surgical tape from 3M, so like a cloth tape, and get about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long, and just tape from the base of your nose. So let me turn on the video so you can see me. Let's see.
I think you're on. We can see you.
Oh, you can see me? Because I thought I hit. Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
I can still see you anyway.
Interesting. Because I thought you can't see. Whoops. So it's from the base of the nose right here, and you go vertically down to the chin, and you tape it at nighttime. I'm a mouth breather, and I can tell you on my Garmin watch, my smartwatch, my REM sleep is going up.
Wow. Incredible tip. I love that one.
It costs 2 cents.
Yeah. 2 cents for better sleep to reduce oxidative stress. Amazing.
The other thing is that during the nighttime, at first, I couldn't make it all night long, so I took it off. But if you continue to do it, you're going to learn to basically sleep with it. I have my wife doing it. And she goes, why? Because I know she's a mouth breather. But anyway, I say, if you want to lose weight, this is the best thing. Because 70% of weight loss is through breathing, getting rid of carbon dioxide. It really is.
Did you hear that, everyone? 70% of weight loss is through breathing, expiring the carbon dioxide.
Right.
Wow.
The other exercise that I recommend to do is to basically increase your lung capacity. So you could do this while driving or while walking. Frank Sinatra, when he was basically at his peak, the way he trained his lungs, unlike a lot of other singers, is you have to increase your lung capacity. And it's the diaphragm. So, Mark, I know you work out, but do you work out your diaphragm?
I work on my diaphragmatic breathing, believe it or not. I do know what that is. Yeah.
So it's really tomorrow I'm actually measuring I'm going to get pulmonary function tests, look at my lung capacity, and I want to get I'm going to compare it what I did 10 years ago. And then I want to see if I can actually improve that, because the number one predictor of longevity and health is lung capacity.
Wow. Another tip. We talk about breathing, and now we're talking about improving.
How can you increase lung capacity? And that is basically, you could do it while driving or while walking. It's really inhale through your nose, hold it for 4 or 5 seconds. Breathe in through your nose for 4 or 5 seconds, hold it for 4 or 5 seconds, and then slowly exhale for 10 seconds. And then if you're good, go to 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 25 seconds. See if you can exhale 30 seconds. You're using muscles that you don't use before, because everyone's a shallow breather. If you are a free diver, I want to finish with this, is you can double your lung capacity from 7 liters to 14 liters, and they work on lung capacity. I'm not asking everyone to be, free divers, but a simple exercise like that, you have to work your lungs. You have to do 5 minutes a day of trying to get that lung capacity up. Now, what I like to do is I have access to a pool, so I just hold my breath for 30 seconds, and then later I do 45 seconds, and a minute 15, a minute 30, and so on, just to basically work on my lung capacity. So let me see if I can, trying to get back to my slides. I'm only going forward. I can't go backwards. Let me. Let's see. Okay, good.
There you go.
It's scary. So fixing leaky gut is great. Proper sleep, it's quality sleep, and putting a little tape on the mouth really helps. And it'll reduce snoring, and some people even get off their CPAP machine. And some amazing studies there, because you have to humidify the air, you have to warm up the air, and you have to basically breathe through the nose. This is the key in life. And it's been known, not just yesterday, it's been known for hundreds of years. It's just that we just forget about the old science. Anyway, let's keep on going, because I can keep going on this. And then senolytic therapy is hot and new. So let's review the skin. There's really 3 layers of skin. There's really the top layer called the epidermis. That's the outer layer. The middle layer is called dermis, and this is really the key factor, because there's a lot of important cells. But the fibroblast cells are really key, and if you can improve on the fibroblasts, on the number of fibroblasts you can produce, and also the fibroblasts working better, you're going to have more collagen, more elastin. You're going to have basically a thicker dermis, and that's going to help your skin look healthier. And then underneath that is the hypodermis, and then you have the muscle. But let me move down. So this is a diagram, younger skin and older skin, and you can see that the dermis actually gets weak, and the fibroblasts actually decrease. And then all the basically collagen and the proteoglycans that's in the dermis actually is diminished. And then you have a weakened second layer, and the top layer folds in, and that's where you get the wrinkles. So you can improve on the dermis with basically peptides. And this is the exciting part, so we're going to be talking about this. So fibroblasts are the key cells, and they do a lot more than these three things. I kind of simplify this. I had like 6, so I just keep it simple. Collagen, everyone kind of knows. Hyaluronic acid, it's kind of like the lubricating factor, and also elastin, which is the stretchy part of the skin. So with aging, fibroblasts becoming less active, the skin develops wrinkles. And this is where most people, they like to stay young and they don't like to have wrinkles. There are some people that don't mind to have wrinkles, which is fine. But the thing is that I actually really kind of abused my skin. I was a triathlete, trained in the hot sun a lot. My skin basically looks, actually for my age, phenomenal. Anyway, I use peptides, but I wish I used peptides earlier. But anyway, you can see in this slide that elastin, which is really kind of a protein, it's like a rubber band. And as we get older, this rubber band you can stretch it, but it doesn't stretch back like a young baby's skin. Like you can squeeze their skin and squeeze it out and it snaps back. Our skin, you stretch out as you get older and it just stays out there. So the thing is that you want that rubber band, that elastin, and this shows that in the graph that collagen goes down and also elastin goes down. So it's really, your dermis gets weak, the fibroblasts are diminished, you don't have enough collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, and other structure in your dermis, and then the epidermis folds in and you get the wrinkles. So that this is what we can do, is you can slow this aging process down. So we have the power of peptides in skincare. And a lot of women know about this because peptides have been around. So what are peptides? Peptides I call it small proteins. Everyone kind of knows what a protein is, but proteins are made of amino acids. And if you link these amino acids up to 100 amino acids, it's considered basically a peptide. Over 100 amino acid is a protein. So a lot of proteins are like 500 to 1,000 amino acids long. They're very long molecules. A lot of peptides are generally small. They're generally 30 to 50 amino acids. But one famous peptide is actually insulin, which is about a 70 it's, I think, 72 amino acids. So there are some hormones that are peptides, but it's one of those things is like some doctors or healthcare providers are like, oh my God, peptides. But they've been using peptides for a long time and just didn't even know it was a peptide. So anyway, we have 20 amino acids for the human body, and they're unique amino acids, and when you combine it together, they're like Lego blocks, and you form it together, it's a peptide. So what I tell my patients is peptides are like small proteins. So for the cosmeceutical peptides, or peptides to make you look younger, there are 4 different types of peptides: signaling peptides, enzyme peptides, BOTOX-like peptides, and carrier peptide. This lecture is generally a 1-hour talk. I have simplified this, really watered this down, and it's not easy to water everything down, but I'm going to eliminate the enzyme peptide. I'm going to talk briefly on the signaling, talk about carrier and the BOTOX. So signaling peptides are basically designed to stimulate really the fibroblast to basically make more collagen, elastin, and also proteoglycan and hyaluronic acid and fibronectin and everything that's needed for the dermis. So it's like a cell phone tower. It just basically sends a signal, and basically the fibroblasts are turned on. So the one famous signaling peptide, there's many other signaling peptides out there, but GHK is a 3 amino acid peptide. It's glycine, histidine, lysine. And G is for glycine, H for histidine, and K is for lysine. Because anyway, there's a lot of L amino acids, but K stands for lysine. And they've studied a lot with this special fat called palmitic acid, and it's used in over 100 skin products. The problem is that most of your cosmeceutical peptides sold, let's say, at Neiman Marcus or some famous place, that they have probably 40 ingredients in one, and they have a little GHK copper, but not high concentration because they want to put everything in that bottle. And how much can you actually put into a little cream there? So anyway, if you use basically one that's highly concentrated, you're going to get great results. So this is a friend of mine, Dr. Pickard. He actually wrote the introduction, the foreword for my new book, Founding Youth with Peptides. He discovered this in 1973 when he was a graduate student, and basically he's patented this. And GHK is natural. It's a natural peptide found in our blood, in our saliva, in our urine. And like everything else, it declines with age. Our lung capacity declines with age. Our hormones declines with age. GHK also declines with age. And anyway, Dr. Pickard, he's a PhD. Spent a lot of his research, on this molecule, this peptide, and his work and a lot of other scientists' work. I like to give him credit. It has a lot of great clinical application. So GHK peptide is known as a main regulator for wound healing and skin remodeling. And GHK can help that dermis. And that's where you want. GHK stimulates that dermis. So that is the key. If you want healthy skin, you got to basically use GHK. So this is a signaling peptide. And this is a study that I just love. I remember reading this on Christmas Day on a cruise ship. And I just my wife thinks I'm weird, like I'm reading a medical article, and I'm so excited. And she thinks I'm a weirdo because, I read a lot of science articles. But, to me, this is amazing because they've done studies on animals, on mice, rats, pigs, guinea pigs. They've done cats where they basically open the back and they basically cause a wound to these animals. And it's just not one, but multiple different animals. And then they inject GHK copper into the leg away from the wound. And the animals that basically got GHK copper, the wound basically healed incredibly fast compared to the animals that did not get it. So there's a group that didn't get it and a group that got it, and you can see dramatic improvement. So I remember my son, he actually was, I don't know if you saw him, but he kind of walked in, he parked the car and kind of snuck in. But he was playing, he was at the beach playing football, and it was this beach, New Smyrna. It was really hard sand, and he was playing football, and he dove for the ball, and he had a face rash from the hard sand. So he had long hair, it kind of covered it, but if you open up his hair, it's around his eyes was really a bit bad abrasion. So I told my son, basically, after he washed it off and cleaned it out, I said, look, just get a Q-tip and apply GHK copper, not in the wound, but around it. And within a week, it's just cleared his skin. Incredible. So anyway, this is really important. In this study, it increases the number of fibroblasts. That's what you want. So there's clinical evidence that it basically increases the number of fibroblasts. If you increase the number of fibroblasts in your skin, you're going to do basically a great job in terms of improving collagen production and your dermis and that elastin. So GHK improves the dermis. That's the main theme, and that's what you want. It's also a carrier peptide. So GHK is a signaling peptide, stimulates the fibroblast, stimulates increased production, but it also carries copper. And copper is toxic to the body, but it kind of neutralizes the copper to bring the copper into the cell. So this is a carrier peptide. So you can see in this slide here that basically copper is surrounded, and GHK copper is one of the most well-examined peptide out there, a lot of literature, and basically it naturally binds to copper, and it basically delivers copper into the cell. So this is probably the most scientific study part of the study, and then it just decides to get a little easier. But copper basically stimulates 3 enzymes. And you can see lysyl oxidase, which increases the production of collagen and elastin. It also improves on increasing superoxidase mutase, which gets rid of free radicals, and also improves the mitochondrial function by the cytochrome C oxidase, so you have better blood flow to the skin. So copper by itself helps, but you need to bring copper into the cell, so you need GHK. So we use GHK copper, and this is my favorite peptide. So I don't know if you know who she is, but she rejected me when I was in high school. No.
You're on a roll. Keep going. That's good.
So anyway, she wasn't involved in the study, but Pamela Anderson here. So they basically did a 12-week study, and this is one of many, many studies. I didn't want to go over every single study, just highlights certain studies here. So just to show that there's evidence of what we're talking about here. So it's a 12-week study on 71 women using GHK copper applied to the face and increased the skin density, thickness, reduced laxity, improved clarity, reduced fine lines, and the depth of wrinkles. My wife actually is very hard to please. I love my wife, but there's a lot of times I ask her to try things. But anyway, so for months I said, try this, this new peptide cream, and she didn't use it for a while. And she goes, I'm busy. But finally she tried it. And after 3 days, she said something to me, and she goes, I love this. Wow, I haven't heard the word love in like 20 years. So why do you love it, honey? And she told me, now we're guys, so we don't understand this, but she says, my pores got tighter. Now, I don't know if you know what pores are, but for women, it's really
That's
important.
probably a whole hour lecture to explain to a man what pores.
What pores are, right? But it's for her, that was huge success, and all her girlfriends go, give me this. So anyway, all her friends are using GHK copper too. So here is the key study. I love this study. I love her fingernails and all this, but a lot of chemicals on that. But anyway, they did a study, and they basically put GHK copper applied to the thigh, and they also compared vitamin C and retinoic acid. They did it daily for 1 month, and basically they biopsied before the study and biopsy after the study. And after 1 month, increased collagen by, you can read it, how much?
70%. That's the first time I've seen this study. I'm just completely shocked, and I hope our listeners are like as shocked as I am. That's amazing.
Well, if you want to learn more about this, I wrote a book, Daunting Youth with Peptides, and it has a lot of different peptides in it. And I have one on the first chapter, Looking Younger, and it goes through all these studies. And this is amazing because it's not just one little study, it's study after study after study. And so this is cool stuff. Now, there's outer beauty and there's inner beauty. I love inner beauty. Hopefully, Mark, you love inner beauty too.
I love inner beauty. Inner beauty is the key to outer beauty. I always do say.
What I love about GHK is basically they've been shown to increase the expression of the reparative genes, the DNA. And they've noticed that 47 genes were stimulated, 5 genes were suppressed. Stem cells treated with GHK regenerate and express more stem cell markers. And GHK improved tissue repair and been demonstrated for skin, lung, connective tissue, bony tissues, liver, stomach lining. So it's not only outer beauty, but also inside too. In 2010, MIT and Harvard created something called connectivity map, and they wanted to see which molecules or substance can regulate gene expression. They were really curious. So they looked at a lot of different molecules, a lot of different substances, and basically they want to see what upregulates and what is downregulated. And it turns out their gene analysis looked at about 1,300 molecules, and the number one best of the best, guess which one it was?
I bet you, I'm just going to take a wild guess here, it was GHK.
Right. And so it basically turned on the reparative genes and turned off cancer genes.
Wow. So
now it comes in a topical clicker. And this is kind of a new way to deliver this. The old way was a foam dispenser. But anyway, this works just as well. It comes in a dose of 2 milligrams per ml. And we recommend that you use 4 clicks a day, or you get 2 milligrams a day. And you can use 2 clicks twice a day or 4 clicks a day. So generally, what my wife does is washes her face and just applies basically 4 clicks a day on this. And so this is how she does this. So you can put it on your, if you have it on your face, you can do it, your neck, and you can do your arms if you can't apply everything on your face. So I do generally 2 clicks in the morning, and usually I do 2 clicks at night. So it doesn't matter if you do it once a day or twice a day. So.
And you can put this on top, folks, and it will affect what's inside too, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So outer beauty and inner beauty. So,
love it.
So let's go on to the next one, and that's the BOTOX-like peptides. And so there are several BOTOX-like peptides. I'm only going to speak on arginine and LEUPHASYL. There's SNAP8, Vilox, and Snake. And so these are basically peptides, like BOTOX-like peptides in a jar.
Nice.
Now, this is a 6 amino acid peptide called arginine. It inhibits a certain molecule called acetylcholine, similar to like BOTOX, and it basically prevents the formation and expression of wrinkles, so your muscles don't contract that much. It does not increase collagen. Unfortunately, on the internet, there's a lot of false claims that arginine increases collagen. It's based on one mouse study, just one, and it's a maybe, and it was not an impressive study. So it really basically inhibits your muscle contraction. That's what it does. It really doesn't have to do anything with collagen. So although people look on the internet and they go, oh, look at that, it increases that. So there's a lot of false advertisement on the internet. The second BOTOX-like peptide is LEUPHASYL. It's a 5 amino acid. Instead of inhibiting acetylcholine, it inhibits catecholamine at the neurotransmitter junction. So it's been shown to reduce fine lines, wrinkles, moisturize the skin, improve firmness and skin tone. And here's a study: 43 women using a cream with LEUPHASYL and with arginine, so and the combination of both. And this is basically, they looked at wrinkle reduction. So this is really the key at the end here. So if you look at LEUPHASYL, it basically, wrinkle reduction dropped by 11%, and then arginine 16%. But if you use arginine and LEUPHASYL, it's about 25%.
Impressive.
Because remember, LEUPHASYL has to do with catecholamine, and then arginine has to do with acetylcholine. So they work in 2 different parts of the neuromuscular junction there. So, there is a peptide that combines GHK with LEUPHASYL and arginine. But honestly, I think if you really want the BOTOX-like effect, you have to improve the dermis. If you just use LEUPHASYL or arginine and you have a weak dermis, and your dermis has low collagen, low basically elastin, and low hyaluronic acid, and not much fibroblasts, it's going to work a little, but you're not going to get the best effect. What I tell my patients is, before you even go on the BOTOX peptide, please use just GHK for 6 months. And then later, you can add the BOTOX peptide. BOTOX peptides do not work like BOTOX. You will be disappointed if you expect the next day you use it and it's like, oh my God, my skin's better. BOTOX works super fast. You can tell it. As soon as you inject, you get the results. This takes time. It takes about a month to kick in, and it's slow. But if you have a better dermis with using GHK-Cu, and then you add the BOTOX-like peptides with it, you're going to have a better effect than just using this. So I strongly recommend, if you've never used GHK copper, use that first. And then after 6 months, continue the GHK copper and then add the BOTOX-like peptide. That is the key. And I really strongly discourage to go right to basically the combo that has all three. I think you'll get better effect with just GHK copper because it's more concentrated, and you'll get basically, you really need to build the dermis, and that's the key. So anyway, that's how I educate my patients, and I know some people want to go right to the top, but it's like Emeralds, when he cooks, and he does all the right ingredients, and then at the very end, it's like, bam, he puts the secret sauce and everything. Well, if you don't do everything in the beginning, and you just do the secret sauce, it's not going to really work. You got to get the bam by getting the base down. So that's an important factor. So.
Yeah, and on that note, just a real quick question. I think people need to understand that Botox is a toxin, right?
Right.
So how does that compare to the argireline and the LEUPHASYL?
Well, it's similar in terms that it inhibits basically the neuromuscular contraction of the face. So you're still contracting, not as much, so you can still talk. So it's been safe.
Yep.
There's no paralysis or anything like that. There was like, well, is there any concern? This is low concentration. It takes a long time for it to work, but you do see improvement. There is some, in my 1 hour presentation, you will see basically a slide deck that shows basically how, I think it was arginine, over time, you can see a difference. My wife goes, I don't see a difference at 1 week. I don't see a difference in 1 month. But generally I think it was at 2 months, you saw the difference. So
perfect.
It's like they just slide like at the beginning, before, and then 24 hours, like you can't tell the difference. And like we both were staring at it, it's like, what's the difference? But over time, you see some improvement. So the key really is you have to improve the dermis, and that's really the main point, and GHK does that. So in summary, GHK copper, it's a 3 amino acid peptide that carries copper. It's also a signaling peptide and also a carrier peptide. Copper by itself helps the dermis, but by using GHK copper, basically you're going to improve collagen production, elastin production, hyaluronic acid, and in addition, it turns on your reparative genes and turns off your cancer genes. I love this. This is my one of my top peptides that I really love. And the BOTOX-like peptides is really LEUPHASYL and arginine combo works really great, and it does not increase collagen. It's basically inhibits the neuromuscular contraction, and it's strongly recommended to use GHK copper. I say here 3 to 6 months before using the BOTOX-like peptides. The longer you use GHK copper and then use that, you'll get better effect. So it's this is great stuff, and hopefully call Dr. Mark and Michelle Sherwood, and they have these peptides, and anyway, so this will help you look younger. I have 2 little minor things, and that is, if you want to learn more about peptides, you can go on Amazon. I have the Fountain of Youth with Peptides as a Kindle version. It's normally $39.95, but I guess Amazon reduced it to $37.95. But I have a special sale for over 50%. It's $19.99. Shipping and taxes is extra. I will only ship in the USA because I don't know where this podcast goes. So it's a pain in the butt to ship to Canada. I have to sign my life away, and it's so many documents. Just to send a book, it's not worth it for me. But you can get the ebook version if you want to get it overseas. But the discount code is webinar, and you can go to clinicalpeptidesociety.com. And if you type in at the very end, you have to enter all your information, and before you put the credit card, there's a discount code. You type in webinar, and the price is reduced right there. So you can get that. Or Dr. Mark Sherwood actually sells the book. I actually sell it in my office. So if you look me up, I'm in Orlando, Florida. You call my office. You can just say you listened to the webinar, and we can just ship the book there to you. And one last thing, because this book basically really simplifies the use of peptides. And I tell my patients, if you want to look younger, just read chapter 1. If you're interested in hair peptides, read chapter 2. If you want more energy, read chapter 10 or 11. It's on chapter 11. If you want to have a better immune system against coronavirus, read chapter 10. So there's no particular order in reading the book. It's really whatever tickles your fancy, what you want to read. Basically, it's really simple. It's and what's your feedback, Mark, on the book for your patients?
Honestly, every patient that comes to us, whether here locally or anywhere around the country, we are making sure that as part of their package, they're going to get this book in their hand. Every time, without exception, Dr. Lee, every one of them, when they get it, when they read it, they come back and they say, I want this peptide, I want that peptide. It's like a multiple choice, and I have to rein them in and say, well, let's do this one first, let's do this one second, depending on what their goals are and what they're trying to achieve. Certainly, I think that this thing has been a game changer for us, not just the book, but the peptides and personally you. This has revolutionized many, many people's lives. And so a big thank you for that. And certainly I'll show this again. I've got my book here, and I've got a whole bunch of them out there on the bookshelves. And it makes us very proud to know the person behind the writing, the heart behind the person, and then the information that comes forth. So it's been incredible.
Thank you very much. So let me show you one more slide, and then I'm completely done. Is for the healthcare providers that's listening to this podcast, we have an online event. I'm actually speaking 10 hours, which is crazy, and probably in 2 days. This is the 18th annual Restorative Medicine Conference. It's supposed to be in Hilton Head, South Carolina, but that got canceled, so it's online. It's a 3-day event. You don't have to do an entire conference. If you want to just learn about peptides, you can sign up for the peptide track. If you're interested in other restorative part of medicine, they have a track for that too. But anyway, Dr. Luis Martinez and myself, we're both the co-founders of Clinical Peptide Society. We're going to be speaking on a lot on peptides. So anyway, if you're interested in peptides, our next conference here is on August 20th to 22nd. So anyway, thank you again for letting me to be on your show, on your webinar. Or podcast. So let me stop the share.
Perfect. Now we're back. Thank you. That was amazing. I mean, I was sitting here taking notes. I got a couple of questions that I know people are going to ask, and a couple things. Does taking exogenous collagen help?
Well, I have a lot of people who do that. If there are peptides by mouth, yes, that may help. But a lot of peptides get dissolved in stomach acid, so I don't know how much it can help, but some people swear by it. But if you just take collagen itself, which is a big protein, I don't think that actually, I think wasting your money. And that's in my book, because if it's just a pure protein, it's going to be broken down to amino acids, and then it's not going to be assembled to that collagen. So you have to turn on the fibroblasts to make the collagen. That's the key. And whether it's a peptide or something else to stimulate the fibroblasts, I think that is the way to do it. But if it works for you and you take a collagen type drink that some of them are peptides and it works, keep on it. So
it's certainly marketed out there a lot, so I know people are going to ask about that. You touched on this, and I think it's just want to hit again. People want to know how long it's going to take before I see results, and I think you hit on that. So one more time, if you would.
Well, GHK-Copper, we've had great success in my practice. Most people will notice some improvement within a week.
Wow.
And you give it a month, and a lot of people notice their texture is better, their pores are better. They actually look healthy. And it's not only for women, it's also for men. I have some of my male friends taking it, and they just everyone goes, what are you doing? Because they're looking different. And people who haven't seen me for a while, they're saying, boy, your skin looks great. So it's one of those things that's a great compliment to hear. So it's not only for women, men need it too.
Yes, we all need beauty to portray the inner beauty, right? Now,
Exactly.
another one, you touched on this too. Just want to make sure people got this. You talked about your son's sort of road rash, et cetera, or sand rash, I should say.
Right.
You put it around the open wound, not in the open wound.
Yes, around it. I had to use the Q-tip and just went around it, not in it. And basically, you get close enough. You can put it, let's say, on your buttocks, and it will help. Let me just tell you an example. I have a patient that her mother was dying and was basically developed bed sores at home. And she came into my office and said, do you have anything for my mother for the bed sores? I said, GHK-Copper. So she put it around it, and the wound basically completely healed. She continued to use it for preventative purpose. And she noticed within like a month or two that her face was looking younger. And before she died, she took a picture of her mom. She said she died like 3 months or 4 months after using GHK-Copper. But she said that was the best my mother's face ever looked. It basically was increasing the collagen and fibroblast. Put it on the butt, it will basically work other places. But if you put it on the face, it will only work faster.
So you heard it there from Dr. Lee.
Yes.
Put GHK-Copper on your butt. There you go. And it will affect every part of your life.
You can do it on your butt, but it'd be better if you do it on your face. So that was a joke. So put it on your
Just kidding. So I want to thank you for this. Dr. Lee, the Institute of Hormone Balance, Orlando, Florida. Obviously, if you're listeners, man, we're all on the same team. We all have the same mission here. We're trying to help people heal from upstream. So I really want to thank all of our listeners, and thank you, Dr. Lee, for joining us today. If there's one thing that we would ask all of our listeners to do is subscribe to this particular podcast to find out what's coming next. You've worked super hard for your health, and don't let any of these hidden factors get in and bog you down. So join us every week for Healthcare's Missing Link. We'll see you next time.